How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Tombstone's Takes. I am Tombstone, and I'm here to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and interesting about books. And today I have a book review for you. I was lucky enough to get my grubby paws on an arc of How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. This is one of those arcs that's going like hotcakes, and when it finally comes out, it's going to sell like hotcakes because Grady Hendrix is one of the best there is in the horror world. He's done everything so far. He's done Horror Store, which is about a haunted IKEA. He did My Best Friend's Exorcism, which is exactly what it is, what it sounds like. It's beaches. It's described as beaches meets The Exorcist. He's done We Sold Our Souls, which is about a band, and they obviously sold their soul to the devil. He's done The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires and The Final Girl Support Group. He's done it all. Now he's here with you to give us how to sell a haunted house. Let's start off with the good. What's the good about this book? Well, there's a number of things that are good about the book. First and foremost, one of the things that Grady Hendrix does best is he does relationships. He knows how to not only show loving, friendly relationships, but he also knows how to put tense relationships with people that you love but still have problems being with each other. It's very true to life in that sense. Some of the people that you love the most are also often some of the people that you have the hardest time with. And in the sense of how to sell a haunted house, these relationships are what work best. See, the premise of the book is that Louise, her parents die suddenly in an accident. And she's got to go from San Francisco back home to Charleston to help deal with the funeral and selling her parents' homes. And she's shook up, and she's going back to do this with her brother, Mark. Now, her and Mark don't necessarily get along, but they try to deal with each other the best they can. And there's a lot of tense relationships in here that really move the book forward. And part of the premise of the book is about Mark and Louise coming to terms with who they are and how to live together as a family. But these tense relationships are really what make the book work all around. Some of the other things that's good about it is that this is all pure laugh out loud, funny, campy, 80s gore and horror type story. This is a story that moves at a fast pace. Louise then obviously goes home. There's something wrong in her parents' house, and the scares start to come almost right away as she gets back to Charleston. The bad about the book, I actually have 2 points on the bad. So the first point is that, unfortunately, this premise, if you go just by the premise of the book's going to sell you on this being a haunted house book, and it's really kind of a bait and switch. It's not a haunted house book. It's really a book about haunted or cursed puppets. Yes, you got me right. You heard me right. Haunted, cursed puppets. It's more in the vein of Child's Play. It's more in the vein of something like that than it is a haunted house. So if you're looking for a purely haunted house story, that's not what you're going to get. You're going to get haunted puppets. For me, I was a little bit disappointed in that fact that I didn't get a haunted house book, because I thought that the title, How to Sell a Haunted House, was brilliant, and it could have worked on all levels in that manner. So I was a little disappointed with that. The second bad for me point, bad point. Anyway, the second thing that I didn't like about the book is that I didn't like the cover. The cover looked like a video game cover. It didn't look especially like it's for fans of horror. It didn't look like it was going to sell me on either a haunted house book or a haunted puppet book. And I found that a little distracting. And now for the ugly. Okay, this isn't really all that big of a deal. It's just something that I noticed because my mind never stops asking questions when I read the book. And this won't make a difference to most people. But I did feel like if you've read a Grady Hendrix book before, some of this book has some of the same beats. You know exactly when Louise is probably going to be angry at Mark, and you know how things might turn out and look like they've solved the supernatural problem, but it's not ended yet, and then it's still got to be resolved later on. None of that is hidden. It's not like anybody who's ever read a story like this wouldn't be able to understand what's coming next in a little bit of ways. And so I felt like there was a little bit of a repeating pattern there, but most of you, if you just don't worry about it, you aren't going to see that, because Grady Hendrix does so many things so well that it doesn't matter. He brings the laughs, he brings the 80s campy, gory fun, and then again, like I said, the characters and the relationships that he can build just drive the story along so much that you're going to have a good rollicking time no matter what. That's what I've got for the ugly. Now on to the interesting. What do I find interesting about this book? What I found interesting is that when I first noticed that the bait and switch happened and that this was really a book about haunted dolls and puppets, that Grady Hendrix is such a strong storyteller that he could keep me going and be interested in the book and continue to write a fantastic book that I was enthralled with pretty much the entire way, despite that bait and switch. And I say that because I can always go for a haunted house book, A, that's one. And two, the other thing for me, one big thing that can turn me off from a book so easily is to feel like the basic conceit or premise or idea of the book that they're marketing to you, if I feel like that's not what the book is really about, or if somebody pulled the rug out from underneath me on those particular points, it can turn me off really fast and it can drop my enjoyment of the story right away, and I'll struggle to get through it at the end. But I find it really interesting that Grady Hendrix is such a strong storyteller and he does such a great job that I would be able to be interested in the book the entire way and get there to the end. And that's just a testament to how good he is and why he's risen to the popularity that he has in the horror world. So, having said that, how many tombstones am I giving this book? I'm giving this book a good 4, probably 4. I'm going to say 4 because the bait and switch did leave a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth, and it lingered with me just a little bit the first couple of days after I read it. It's been a week or so now, and I was able to clear my thoughts. And although it still bugs me a little bit, doesn't bug me half as much because I can look at the book and say, wow, that was a great book. I had a lot of fun, and I want to recommend that to my friends. So, having said that, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you like what we do here. If you do, give me a like and a subscribe. And I'm going to put this video up right away, so it's going to be till next year before this book comes along. But when it does, pick it up, enjoy it. It's a great read. Have a good night.